Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me for Module 2, GRA 2200, Responsive Web Design. I hope everyone's doing well. I know this was uh, originally decided to be done on Mondays at 6, and because of a schedule change, I had to make a change for this week. However, if you would like, I will go back to Monday at 6 in week 3 and carry that forward through until week 5, 5.5. So let me know if that's a problem for you. If there's a better time to do a live lecture that you can attend, if you really want to attend, and I would love for you to attend, of course, but you don't have to if it's a problem or if you have, of course, schedule conflicts. So, anyway, let's see how quickly we can get this covered and get you back to the real world, wherever that is. um, Module 2 is not that intense. In fact, I've make available to you a lot of material to make it less intense. Um, your primary focus with Module 2, I'm actually moving from one part of the desk to the other, um, is you're going to be really focusing on responsive design for a website, actually two websites that you're going to be working with. Um, and and uh, I've got both of them at least at a beginning stage of being laid out. Now, some of you know and have used Dreamweaver, and some of you are quite good in Dreamweaver and like it a lot. And so I want to encourage you for these two assignments. If you're comfortable in Dreamweaver, use it. However, if you're not, then I have an alternative uh, that you might want to consider to use. It's called CodePen. It's easy to use. It's a text editor, but it's also very helpful as far as a text editor. It's designed for a beginner, and so that will hopefully help a lot of you. I know in teaching this class in the past, I've noticed that some of you have very little HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge, and you've not been exposed to much as far as especially HTML and CSS. So I make several sources of information available to you as well, just to help you. This week, we are leaving Adobe XD for just this week, and we'll return in Module 3. But this week, we want to focus on HTML, CSS, and responsiveness and how to program responsiveness without anything except basic code. This is um, a new page. Uh, it's a screenshot, really, of a new page of Dreamweaver. You come in, you select what you want to create. You select Create New, and essentially go from there. There is a tutorial in your Blackboard section of Module 2, and let me show that to you really quick. Lee. Here's the Dreamweaver Refresh. If you intend to use Dreamweaver and uh, it hasn't been a long time, you may not need this at all. But if it's been a few months and you have not used it, I would encourage you to go through these just a few pages and make sure you have at least a good working knowledge of what's going on here. Dreamweaver is not necessarily that hard. Um, it can be. I don't hear me say that in terms of minimizing because it can be. But especially on HTML and CSS, it's um, it's not terrible, and it can actually create what you need it to create fairly quickly. But I would definitely take a look at the refresher in your Blackboard part of your class. And you'll have to forgive me, I've got a cold or something. And so my voice is a little tired. So, if you are unfamiliar with Dreamweaver, then I want to suggest trying CodePen. And you're thinking, well, what is CodePen? CodePen is a free online open source community of people sharing front end web development code. If you see something you like, you can normally grab it and use it as long as you don't represent it as your own work. um, it's very much an open source situation because it's just code. Now, if you grab artwork related to the code, then that's not cool. So, but you can certainly grab the code. Um, I have a couple of sites that I've already set up for different classes, and uh, I have one for this class in particular. I do give you a lot of help, not only for the two assignments that you have um, in Module 2, but also the assignments coming up later in the class. I believe they're all due by Mod 5. So let's look at this for just a bit. First of all, CodePen, when you just sort of click on the main CodePen, and you don't have an account, then you will want to come in and say, open an account, or, let's see, open account. And sometimes it's like, huh? And it's not, doesn't have that great of a search engine. You can also, well, I'll show you a little video that will show you how to open an account. Um, and let's get out of that. Let me see if this is okay. Maybe settings. It's been so long since I've done this. Yeah, settings will let you set up a profile. It will ask you if you want to join or be a member, and you can say yes, of course, but you want to be a free member and not pro. Okay. You just don't need any of this. You will get for your content, you'll have something called a pen, and the pen is an area large enough that would accommodate a website, but also it can be a place of experimentation, exploration, copying other things that you've seen, that kind of thing. Um, so when you get in here and you make your your profile. Okay. And you may have some links that you want to share. Then in your account, you can set up your username, your password, and your email address. And then you have basically a free account. From there, you can go to this area called Create a Pin. And these pins that you create are these little workspaces. And again, they can accommodate an entire website. Um, if you're not using JavaScript and you're not, arrange your windows where you're just looking at HTML and CSS. Your settings, you can set up, this is for the pin that you're creating. It has very little to do with anything else. Um, but a lot of people name their pins. Trying to think if I have. I've named my accounts. Let me see if I can go here. Let's go to where are you? I have one here, and this has a lot of different things that I've created for classes and just for projects and presentations. Okay. If I want to see all the pins that are available, say at a site, I can click on all pins and then I'll get a list of everything. As you can see, the CodePen account that I've essentially set up for you is, if I can find it, it is, I think is it Pyracket? Yeah. Okay. And I'll give you all these links. Okay. So go. Okay. Your first assignment is actually creating this concert web design. Okay. The second is creating the Welcome to Natural History Museum website. Both websites are one page each. Now, what I've done here is I've given you sort of a layout with the required colors. So I've sort of done some of the work for you. You finish the work according to the instructions, and I'll take you to those in just a moment. And you'll pull in your photos that are needed. And essentially, you will set this up, turn it into your SOTD server for students, and you're done with at least one of the two, excuse me, one of the two projects. Let me take you to what else we have here. Let's go to pins. Let's go to your work. Let's go to, I'm really, really organized, you can tell. Here we go. This is part of a later project, uh, and I'll just leave it at that for now. This is the first project, and it's essentially done, except for the logo. Now, where do you get all your photos and all the text, if there's some text to be added? You get it in your Teams folder under Module 2, under Files. Let me start over. General, Files, Module 2, and then Downloads. And you'll download the folders, and they will have exactly everything what you need. The logo needs to be finished, placed. I've listed it as an SVG, but that's not working. So you're going to have to determine what will work to, it's a circle. It's like a moon. You do have these four photos and they are in place. So technically, all you have to do to this website is check it over, make any changes to fonts or colors you like, and fix the logo. I've already placed the photos for you. Now, for the other piece, the History Museum, you have a lot more to do. Not a lot, but a little bit more. You have to place your logo, which will be in your downloads folder in Module 2 folder in Teams. You've got 3 images, and you've got some color breaks that have to stay within this, uh, basically in this same family of colors. Now, if you think of other colors that look better, go for it. This is not really a design project. It's more like a code, or a Dreamweaver project or a CodePen project. Let me show you specifically where this information will be found as far as the narrative. First of all, let me just make sure you see one other thing before I show you, go back to the assignments. Actually, 2 things. Live Classroom. Live Classroom, when I first started teaching at Rasmussen, I didn't know what this was because my students would say, "Hey, I didn't get a code word," or "Hey, why didn't you tell us the code word in the lecture?" and that kind of thing. And I didn't know there was a code word. So I used this like in my audiovisual video class last term. We talked about different title designs, different ways to edit relative to pace and rhythm of a video, because the main project for that class was a 3 minute, 2 to 3 minute video. And so this was a fairly active area for that class. This class, I think what I'll do is ask questions of you, and then hopefully you'll be able to answer in, 1 sentence or 2 sentences at the most, and you earn the 5 points. I'm really partial to giving out points. And it's simply because if you know the information and you're doing well in class, but you don't do these little live classroom exercises, you're going to lose 25 to 30 points, which is kind of nuts. So if you possibly can, I'll have a question for you every week. The first week in Module 1, everyone gets the 5 points regardless, because I don't even think I gave you a question to work with. This week you do have a question, and succeeding weeks you will. So just as a reminder, this book is HTML and CSS guidebook. This is not a requirement for you to read or just nothing like that at all. Um, but it's a great reference book. And so I want you to take advantage, especially of the responsive design information and CSS media queries, because that's what you're going to be doing in this project. You're going to have to essentially uh, write 3 media queries and add them to the text. Now, you'll also have to place your photos, and there are special photo explanations and rules that I will show you here in just a second. And I've set up image source here, but that is not correct, obviously, or you would be seeing the images. Uh, I've tried to put in pretty much basic HTML and then just sort of generic colors. And then it's up to you to answer the questions that will be posed to you. Um, Here is, let's move from CodePen to assignment one, we've really talked about. Assignment two, you're going to be doing the uh, media queries. So let me skip over and show you that. Part one, what is a media query? It answers that for you and it explains what it is. And basically, it's a break point in the actually web and actually the in the web page. Let me see if this is, for instance, let's look at let's look at this page. Since it's a an Adobe Express, it should be responsive, you would think. However, hang on. Okay. And as I drag from the far, that's left, this is right, the far right corner into the far left top corner, do you see how it's reorganizing itself? Now, is that responsive or not? It's kind of hard to say, but I think basically it probably is. Um, when you drag the page from the bottom right to the upper left diagonal corners, and it doesn't rearrange itself into at least two, maybe three to five arrangements of information. Let me show you that again. Um, you see how it's rearranging itself, and then it just kind of stops. It can't get any smaller. That is responsive, and that's your mobile device. And then as I pull out, you see that little snap? Let me do it again. Snap. That's a breakpoint. That's a media query that says, hey, make it this size for probably a small tablet. And you'll see it again. And there it is again. That could be either a tablet or what I think it's the web page. You see how it snapped when it got here, but it didn't really make any major changes. So built into this page, you have a mobile device, you have a tablet device, and you have the website. So here are the three media queries that you need to write. And this is an example of one. A great place for reference is W3 Schools, and I'll be happy to write that link down as well for you. But here's the rest of the instructions, and basically it's just making sure that you have the size constraints correct and your images display at 60% of the device width. What you'll find when you download the files for assignment 2 part 2 is there'll be large photos, and to make them fit well you'll have to build these not only the media queries but the resizing. Okay, I told you about this book, right? The interesting thing about this book is it has a great explanation and definition of breakpoint, but it also has, Hang on, let me make sure I can reach. It also has something very interesting. This is media query. It's called an if statement. If the criteria is met, apply the CSS contained within. Um, and who is it talking to? It's talking to the browser. When the browser sees that information in this particular form, it knows what to do. It knows this is a media query. Now, if you look, this goes on to explain in more detail, especially multiple media queries, which is what you're going to be writing. And the interesting thing about this little book is the writer follows up what he writes
Okay, I just want to do a quick
with a
video
little
to
video
point out some of the basics about
to
using
kind
media
of
queries. So
not
we use
only
media queries to make sites responsive.
not only point out the obvious, but also he shows you how to write these and how to understand them. And then he gives you the ability to test your knowledge. Now, none of this will gain you any points. This, however, in understanding this will really help you in uh, managing to create what you need to create for that second part, module two, natural history website that you're building. So let's go back through just very, very quickly, just so you'll know kind of what you're doing. Let's go back to module two. You also have an HTML CSS refresh built into your Blackboard information, Dreamweaver, uh, some information about mobile devices, optimizing images for the web. Um, and most of you know how to do that. You know how to, what size it must be. And if you're going to be showing photos, you're going to load them a little bit larger than they actually need to be so that they will shrink down a little bit in size and sharpen up a little bit. There's some information about buttons, navigation links, and then how to upload to your student server. Okay? All right, so that gives you, I hope, a good overview of where we're going with all of this. The rest of the presentation is a review directly from the HTML and CSS book. So I'm not going to go through all of this simply because you can look for at it online for yourself. So here it all is. There's the mobile first information, um, more media query information, and I think you're in pretty good shape. I've taken a look at some of the work that's been turned in for Module 1, and it looks really great. So I should be getting uh, grades out, I hope, tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 19th, if not for sure Thursday. One other thing I want to mention to you, and this is relative to Module 1 and setting up the low fidelity uh, web page or wireframe is really the best word to use. Several students have contacted me and said, I don't have a clue how to start. I've read this, I've studied it, I've watched the video, and I still don't know where to go in uh, Adobe XD. And so after I finish this and post it, this particular video, then I'm going to go and make a short video literally showing you how to build a page or two in the low res low fidelity wireframe. So if you would like a copy of that, I can put out an announcement for it as well with a link, and you can download it if you like. So that is all I have. Got you through uh, below an hour. So again, if you have questions or you need some help, please reach out to me. All right. Okay. So have a good evening and a good Wednesday, and we will talk very soon.